Check this out. Option 1, option 2. Option 1 with faded environment, option 2 with fade environment. That's pretty cool. Design options is just one of the many features we've got in the ArchiCAD 27 tech preview. We're going to cover a couple of the other cool features, so stick around. So next up is design guidelines. So if I say click on a wall like this, you'll see something pop up on the left and right hand side of it. These are the new design guidelines. So if I hit say tab, it's going to let me type in a measurement, say 1000, and it's going to offset that wall 1000 from the neighboring wall. Same if I go to this one on the right hand side, if I say type in 3000 and go enter, it's going to offset it 3000 from that side. We can do this with vertical walls as well. So if I say this one here, I can go 3000 and it's just going to bring it up automatically. We can do this with other features too, say like windows. So if I click on this one just here, I hit tab and then type in say 1000, it's going to offset that window from the exterior portion of the wall. Or we can do it from the other window as well. So if I hit tab, then I hit tab again, it'll bring me to the other one. And we can say go 900, which will bring it off 900 from that window. This is one of the experimental features. So if you'd like to check it out in the ArchiCAD 27 preview, all you need to do is just go to options, work environment, go to work environment, go to more options, and then underneath the typical options tab, if we minimize that, we'll see experimental features. So if we click on enable design guides and go okay, then it's going to turn on this feature. Now it doesn't seem to currently do it with say features like slabs, but it does do it for features say like posts. So if I select this post here, hit tab once, go 900, then it's going to make sure that post is offset 900 from that next closest post. So that's distance guides. Next up is a cool little feature that gets very, very little coverage, but as I was reading through the documentation, I found it. So let's say we draw two lines. These could be any features, but let's just do lines to keep it simple. And we have these say 4000 apart. Let's say I select this line just here, and I want it to be half the distance of this 4000. And then this is going to happen all really quickly. I'll type in the number 2, and then if I just tap in the slash key, it's going to half that distance. So within the tracker dialog, so I want to bring this back up again and say I drag it along within this dialog box here, I can divide this measurement just by typing in the number that I want to divide it by and hit the slash key, and it's going to automatically divide that. So let's say I want to divide 2000 by 4. I'll go 4 slash, and then I'll just bring in 500 and I go enter, and that brings that in. So it divides that measurement by whatever the number you decided to do. But it isn't just division. You can also, if I select this one again, and then if I go Control D to type in the dimension, if I want to multiply this number, say if I want it to be twice the distance, so I can go 2, and then if I hold in Shift and hit the asterisk, it's going to double that dimension. So if I hit enter, there we go. And we can do this with all elements. So let's say I've got the design guides here at the moment, and then I've got this dimension, and then I go to divide, it's going to half that number. So I can see a couple interesting use cases that might pop up. So we've got dividing and multiplying down. Next up, let's check out a new little rendering system that they're currently working on. So I'm just going to duck into a hallway view because it currently looks best in interiors. So within the experimental features that we just went into before, if we go to work environment, and then we go enable physical based rendering in 3D. So if we tap this one, you're mostly going to notice it in the shadows. So if we go that one, then we go okay. Hey, there we go. And with that, it should have more realistic shadows. Now, this is a feature that's still in the works. It's still experimental. So at the moment, I'd hold off judgment until we get into the actual 27 version. Again, this is just tech preview, but it's exciting to see that they're still working on some of these different features. For the time being though, let's just go ahead and turn that one back to the regular. We'll go, okay. Actually, I'll give you a quick little look because I would have been curious myself too. I'll give you a quick look at it, what it does look like on the exterior as well. But again, it's still under works. So we'll just go, okay. It's kind of cool. You can see how it's working with the shadows, with the textures. So yeah, I'll be interested to see how this one comes together as it all develops. But let's go back and turn that one off. And okay, back to our features. So FBX, if you're not familiar, let's go back into our 3D. If we go to say file and then go save as, within the file formats that we can actually save the file as, if we scroll on down, we can now save as FBX. I'd heard that apparently this could previously be done in versions like a fair few ago, maybe 4 or 5, but then it got taken out. So it's really nice to have that put back in, because then we can put it into things like Blender, we can put it into SketchUp. Although we do have native files to say SketchUp, FBX is just a more, from what I've seen, universal file. So it's very nice to have that back in the ArchiCAD there now. So I'll just pop out of that. Colorful schedules. Let's dive on in. We'll go to our window schedule. Check this out. We've got colors. So if I select, say, one of the rows here at the moment, just any one of the rows, and then I click on stripes, it can turn that on and off. So if I click on this one here and go turn it off, it's going to turn on and off those colors. Or I can turn it on to say the cells, and I'll change that to say like a blue, go blue, and then we'll go okay. And there we go. So we can have it all go down like that, or we can have it done with, say, stripes. Now I'll turn that blue off there at the moment. Where does this actually come in useful? For me, in the previous iterations of ArchiCAD, when I was doing up, say, basic schedules for the windows, it's kind of hard to differentiate between which window from the time you're going from the left-hand side all the way to the right-hand side. So if we were to say turn this off and you go to, say, a random window, if your schedule is getting really long and drawn out, say like this, identifying which window, then drawing it all the way back across. If you have the stripe turned on say both of these, we'll go to this one as well, it's much easier to delineate which is which. So if we're going along there, we can say, all right, window 3, much easier to see. So colored schedules, very nice little addition to see. Now for our next feature, it's another little quality of life type thing. There's a lot more grouping available in ArchiCAD to break down different elements into structures. Say with building materials, so if I just cancel out of this one for a second, if I go to options, element attributes, and then go to, say, building materials, within here, I can actually create new folders for these to be sorted into. I'll just give another little more direct example. So if I go into, say, lines, you'll notice it's substantially different from the previous version. So I'll just jump back into ArchiCAD 26 here for a second. So I'll go to element attributes, we'll go to our lines. So this is the old lines. So to go through your lines, you click on this and you scroll on up and down and through until you select your line. Now, go back to the new ones. So within here, we can actually create folders for the lines to go into. So if we click on new folder, we'll call this dashed lines. I can select a series of these dashed lines and click and drag those up into this folder here. And then all of a sudden I can actually start sorting out a variety of my different lines so that they're easily accessible. And I just go into this top one here and then it will show all those lines, except for the ones that we just put into the dashed lines. So a different way of organizing the lines and different attributes. So we'll just cancel out of this one for the time being. They've done this for a bunch of different areas. So if I say go into document, then if I go into model view and model view options, actually not model view options, if I go into graphic overrides, that's what I was looking for, graphic override combinations, I'll drag this one on over. And apparently if we go in through to here, and we go into manage our rules, here we are in the actual graphic override rules themselves. We can start organizing these as well. So same thing like with the lines. If we go a new folder, and then we can grab and drag a bunch of these, and we can drag these into the new group. And we can minimize that group. So this way, group 2, we can start organizing our different graphic overrides instead of them all just being in one big bulk area here. So I can go this group here, and then this group here. Say if you've got a minimalist graphic override versus, say, bushfire graphic overrides, reorganizing things really. So it's interesting to see. I'll be curious how much I use it. I typically try and pull out as many of the unused ones as I possibly can and just try and keep it minimal. But if you've got a huge library and you need to get them organized, I can see the utility. So we'll pop out of that one. Search functions, actually, while we were still in there. So if we go into lines now, we can actually search these. So I can go dash. I can find all the dash lines, or if I say go to water, I can go to waterline instead of going through all those different lines. So for me, that's a big win. In the previous version, so if I were to go back into here, so we're in ArchiCAD 26 at the moment. Let's go to the 50% fill. To navigate around with the fills, I just have to go lift. Let's say if I wanted to go for wood, I'd go WOOD, and then it'd highlight there, and I'd enter it in there. So that'd be from that dialog. Whereas in the new search, just up top, I just type in WOOD, and it'd come up with all the options here. So it lists out the criteria of all the different woods. not the criteria, but it just shows all of the fills with that name. So refining the actual search functions within ArchiCAD itself. All right, but let's delete that and let's get back to one of the most exciting features, design options. So let's pop back into 3D and do that again. So we've got option 1 just over here. Now to get design options up and going, what you'll want to do is go to options. This is in the ArchiCAD 27 Tech Preview. If you've got ArchiCAD 26, you should be able to download and give it a bit of a go. I wouldn't do it for your commercial projects. This is just something to play with, something to give feedback to the developers so that they continue to refine it. But it's kind of cool to see what kind of features there are upcoming. Anyway, to actually get this so you can have a play with it, you'll want to go to palettes and you'll want to go to design options. With that clicked on, you'll have this new palette just here. Now, how this one works, the best way for me to get it to lock in my head, it's kind of like the renovation tool. If you haven't had to play with it, I'll explain it in another set of terms in a second. It's kind of like the demolition tool, but it's got more than 3 options. Or it's like layer combinations, but a little bit more intuitive, I'd say. So at the moment here, I've already got 2 set up. Let's go into the actual design options manager. So on the left-hand side here, we've got the combinations, and the right hand, we've got the actual sets. So way to break this down. So the option 1, we've got it turned on here. Now, if we want option 1 and the main model to show at the same time, what I'd need to do is I'd select on the main model, and I'd go new, and then I'd go main plus option 1, and I'd make sure that option 1 has its eye open, and then we'll just go OK. And from there, once I've got that combination set up, that means in my view map, let's say I go to my proposed ground floor, in my view map here, I'll shift this one out of the way. If I right click and I go to view settings, and then down here, you'll see a new option that pops up, design options. So I'll go to main option plus 1, that one we just created before, and I'll go OK. And from here, it'll now show this design option on. Now, it's currently got the fade effect, which I think is a really cool way to delineate between the two. So with what is option and what is just the main model, we can turn this on and off just by clicking the fade environment checkbox just here. So we can turn that on and turn it off. So if I go to option 2, we can really quickly jump between those two different options. Now, to actually set up your elements so that they are on the different options, very quick, very easy. So let's say I wanted these stairs here at the front to only be showing onto option 2 as well. I just select the elements, then I just go with option 2 selected, I'd go relink. So this would link these elements to the option 2. I go relink, and there we go. Now they're onto option 2. If I turn off option 2 though, they are going to disappear. So if we go back into our 3D model and then we turn off our option 1, we can have it so the model is showing just the bare existing elements as well. Or we can show it with the option 1 and option 2 elements. We can also change the color that the fade effect is. So if we go down to this bottom right hand here, choose custom color, and then I can scroll it to say like a green, and we'll go OK. There we go. So we can change that custom color and how it shows up. So I'll go back into that and I'll change it back to that blue, and there we go. Now, if I wanted to take the option, the client said, yep, cool, we're happy with that one. We want you to run with that option. Typically what I'd actually do is I'd save the file as a new one. And then what I'd do next, if I had design options, I'd go accept and merge. From here, it's going to give me this little prompt and warning, merge this option into the main model. So the main model being the primary one that we're doing the options from. Now it is giving us the warning that the rest of the options in this same set will be deleted. So we'll just go ahead and we'll hit OK and then OK again. And that means we've now got the option that we've just run with. So that keeps things clean, keeps things tidy, so that we haven't got a bunch of different walls hidden on various layers or on different layer combinations / renovation filters, all that kind of stuff. It just consolidates all those into one when we're sure which option that we're going to run with. So we'll click OK and we'll pop back into there. Now, if you do like the model used in this video, there's a full video where we go from start to finish with every step along the way. Or if you just like the ArchiCAD file, along with all of my other tutorial files, they're available on the free trial over on the Patreon. There are limited spots though. It's a space where I can look after a small group creating custom resources. If you like this video, I think you'll really dig this video where I go from scratch creating this old set of plans from a building from the 1800s. I'll have a link just over here.